All right, so we're talking about Ableton Live today, and this is the very first day of Ableton Live, so we're just going to start with the basics. Now, you're going to notice a lot of things that are kind of similar to Pro Tools and things that are very different from Pro Tools. The main thing is just to not get stressed about it. Don't worry about it. Don't get like uptight about it or anything like that. Just know that you will figure it out eventually. It will come to you. It's not that hard. It might seem a little bit tricky at first, but you will be okay, all right? So the first thing we're going to talk about with Ableton Live is that there are two views to Ableton Live, just like Pro Tools, and we can go between them by hitting the Tab key. So I'm going to go ahead and close down my browser there on the left-hand side, and I'm going to hit my Tab key, close the browser there too, and I can see these two views here. Now this view here is called the Session View. This here view is called the Arrangement View. The Session View is where we can put a whole bunch of loops and audio files and stuff like that. We can also see there's like a mixer thing going down here across the bottom. And that's where we can do like mixing stuff, and it looks a little bit similar to Pro Tools mix window, but it's actually very different. The Session View really confuses people a lot because they want to categorize it as something they've already seen in the past, but it doesn't really work that way. So I want you to kind of not think about it like that. We are going to start off in the Session View today, but we will be talking about the Arrangement View as well. This one here is the Arrangement View. The Arrangement View is very similar to Pro Tools' edit window. So if you're used to using Pro Tools or you're used to using Logic or something like that, this is like the view that you're used to. This is like the same thing as your window and your main window in Logic or your edit window in Pro Tools. It's the same type of thing. We record stuff in and it kind of goes in here, and the timeline goes from left to right. So if I hit play, you can see here's my window here, and I can zoom in on that so we can see it a bit easier. And going across, we can see my measures are across the top. We've got our time across the bottom. So we can see what's happening here. It's a little bit different looking because all of our track information is on the right-hand side over here. But that's all that's really different. It's instead of having the track information on the left, the track information is on the right. If you use Logic and you're used to Logic, this down here, you're going to be familiar with it. This is where everything shows you your MIDI information, your audio information, stuff like that. So that's our arrangement view. But let's go ahead and talk about our session view here. The session view, this view here is where we can put audio files and stuff and play them. So if I go ahead and I open up my browser here, the browser here on the left-hand side is where I can show all my different sounds and instruments and things like that. And we can see down here, I've clicked on a file on my computer. This is on my hard drive. And I can see in here a whole bunch of sample libraries that I've got. So I'm just going to go in here and open up this Future House Generation from Sample Magic and go in here and grab some drum loops. And I click on them and I can hear them. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to grab this one right here. And I'm just going to drag it over here to one of my audio tracks, and I'm going to hit play. Just going to check to make sure everything looks good. Yeah, looks like we can hear everything fine, no problem. Cool. Nice. Speed it up a little bit. There we go. So we can hear the beat is playing in here, no problem. If I go ahead and want to put in another track, let me open this up a little bit more. Okay, let's grab the percussion line here. I'll put the percussion line here. So now, there we go. Let's put in some, here, let's put in these hi-hats. There we go. There we go. That's a little bit better. Awesome. Okay, so I can hear both of these files playing at the same time. Now I could go ahead and grab a bass loop. Let's grab a bass loop from over here. And let's grab, yeah, whatever, let's grab that one. I'm going to drag it over here. It's going to make a new track, just like Pro Tools Logic does. Awesome. Let's grab a, let's see here, what key are you in? They usually say the key C minor. Okay, so there's the key. And let's grab a keyboard line, some kind of a music loop or something. And the music loop will be, let's grab the same key here. So you can see the keys are over here on the right-hand side of things. And anything in the key of C minor. There we go, some C minor stuff at the end. Let's use that one there. Go ahead and... Oof, they do not sound good together though. That's funny. That's a bass line that's in C minor, but no keyboard lines that are in C minor. Let's try G. Let's see if that one's gonna work. That doesn't make any sense for a sample pack, does it? It's okay. C and G should go together, but it's chords, so whatever. It's fine. So we can hear everything is playing at the same time. Now, what I can do is I can actually move these around like this and put these in different places. And I'm going to hold down Option and drag this down. And this is just a standard, copy and paste thing. Just holding Option just drags it down. And what I can do is I can play over here on the right-hand side, and it's going to play these right here. And when I hit play on this next one over here, it'll play that next row. There we go. Cool. And you can see I can kind of build this song up as it goes. Hit play on this one here. The bass line is killing me being in the wrong key. Sorry, I don't know if y'all can hear that or not. Let me grab a different bass line that's in the key of G. Because the bass line being in the key of C minor with nothing else being in the key of C minor is really not cool. Here, let's listen to this one here. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, yeah, we'll use that one. I don't like any of these. I don't like this kind of music, so sorry. Yeah, the bass line was killing me. All right, but this is a much better bass line here. There we go. Okay, cool. So we got all that in there. Now, if I wanted to add some MIDI stuff in, what we can do is I can go over here to one of my MIDI tracks, and I'm going to go back just real quick. I'm going to go back and I'm going to explain all this in slow motion in a little bit. I just want to get you into it just so you can see what you can do here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go grab an instrument over here on the left-hand side, and let's grab a plugin. Let's grab one of the instruments that actually comes with it. We'll grab a sound. Let's grab a keyboard sound, some kind of a synthy keys type of thing maybe, or mallets. Here we go, mallets. Yeah, let's grab that plucky type of pipe sound. There we go. And I've got a keyboard here on the left. Move it over here. I got my keyboard here on the left-hand side, and so you can see it's my little keyboard there. And I've got to put it in my lap here. Okay, let's send that over to the reverb. Let's get a longer reverb going on here. There we go. Okay, cool. And I can play. And I can just record some stuff. Here we go. Let me go ahead and record that for you. Cool, awesome. And I can double click it. I can go down here. I can quantize. Just hit Command U to quantize. And then do that. Let's change this one that I played an E to an E flat. There we go. Awesome. And I got a little thing going on here. So as you can see, maybe, this is much easier to use than Pro Tools as far as just getting beats together. I think it's also easier to use than Logic. Some people there's various opinions about that. But there is a reason why a lot of people have flipped over to Ableton Live from Pro Tools, from Logic, from FL Studio. People really like Ableton Live for good reason. It's really easy to use once you get used to it, and it's very, very fast. So now I've got this here. Let me go ahead and put this one down here. I'm going to grab that like this and put this one down. What do we do? Okay, here, let's do this. Let's put this one down here. We'll put this one here. So if I play it, it's going to sound like... Yeah, so I've got this one here. And I can play this one here. Let's get rid of that one. Hold on. Let's do this. And we'll build it back up again. Drag these down. Like that. Yeah. Do that. Actually, let's do this one here. Yeah, cool. So I've got all these playing, all these together now. Yeah, cool. I'm just holding down Option, dragging them around. So we've got these over here. So I hit play on this one. Got these. Let's just go through them. I can use my arrow keys up and down, and I hit return on it to play it. And you can hear what's happening here is it's playing each one at the downbeat of the next bar. So it's waiting to play it, and it's playing it when it should play. It's not playing it at some weird time. And I'm going to explain that in just a little bit here. There we go. Now, I've got all these here. I like them. I think they sound really cool together. I'm very happy with this so far. So I can name them if I want. I can put in a name like that. I can, just go over here and hit Command R to rename. And I can do that like that. I don't have to do that though. I usually don't name them. I might name like one or two of them. But if I'm moving fast, it's not something I take time to do. What I can do, however, I misspelled that. That's why I don't name things. What I can do is I can go ahead and hit this record button here. Okay, I'm going to hit the record button here, and I'm going to start playing this. And when I start playing it, it's going to record it into my arrangement view over here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play. And now it's going to record it into the other view. You can see it's actually recording stuff as I play it. Right, which is super cool here. And I'm going to hit play in this one. Right? Yeah. There you go. There we go. And I'm just going to go through and play this. And I can record it as I'm playing it so I can get ideas together as I go. So if I want to skip down here to this one, I can go ahead and do that. I can go ahead and play this one now. Right? So I can do all this stuff here and go back to this one here. All right, there we go. Go back to this one. Cool. Sounds good. Go up here to this one here. Have a little DJ outro. Whatever, and then I hit stop. There we go, boom. Now I go over here to this view here. This is my arrangement view, like I said. And I'm going to go in here. I'm going to say, all right, now let's hit F10, and that brings us back to this. Now you can see there's some extra ones up in here. These, if we look at this closely, you can see there's MIDI data in here. And for some reason, oh, I know why I was recording everything, because I have the record button on over here. I forgot about that. So I can go ahead and get rid of all these blank ones here. And I want to show you, I just want to pull your attention to something here. And again, we're going to talk about all this stuff. But just to show you a detail real quick, is that this is not actually recording the audio of the stuff in the session view over here. It's actually recording the clips as I play them. And I'm going to explain that in a little bit. But what's cool about this is I can go in here and I can say, you know what? Okay, so I like this here, or this one here. Let's go ahead and loop this part. But I want to change it up a little bit. So what I can do is I'm going to hit fold over here, and fold just shows me only the notes I just played. And I'm just going to go ahead and edit this a little bit. So it's like this. And I'm just going to go ahead and change this up a little bit here. I think this is going to sound okay. I'm not really 100% sure if this is going to sound okay or not. And oops, get over there. Just go ahead and there we go. Cool. Okay, so now let's hit play. Yeah, all right, that sounds all right, cool. So we got that there, and we can actually take this and say, you know what, let's make this a little bit longer here. And I'm going to take this one and pull it back, like that, there we go. And let's go over here and grab this kick drum from here. And we can just say, you know what, let's grab this kick drum. Boom, 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 boom. Actually, let's make it a little bit shorter so it doesn't have that whole thing going on. And you can see I can do this like that, like this. There we go, boom. So let's listen to that. So I'm editing like I would edit in Pro Tools as well. I can do editing in Ableton Live version, Pro Tools, Logic, whatever. Cool. All right, there we go. And we could add some swishes and some things like that in here, but I'm not going to take the time to do that. That's just a real quick rundown of how we could, like, this is like a basic getting started with Ableton Live. And hopefully by the end of the lesson today, you'll be able to do something like this a little bit. We're not going to be talking about the MIDI stuff today, but we will be talking about the doing the audio stuff. We've got some loops to play with and everything, and so we're going to go and do that in slow motion here. All right, so let's go ahead and back this up to the beginning and just talk about what's going on here. Okay, so let's just talk about all the things that are on the screen here and what's going on with this. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to start up here on the left-hand side. If we look at the notes, we've got in the notes, you've got a window of everything in here, and this window has numbers on it. And this is like is in the daily notes. And so this window here has numbers on it. And then if we go over here to the next screen, this has the numbers in here that apply to that previous screen here. So this is showing you everything that's on that screen, and the same thing goes for the arrangement view. We've got some stuff over here in the arrangement view, the important stuff. Okay, so this is the session view, and let's just go ahead and talk about this. So I'm just going to refer to Ableton Live in my window here. I'm not going to refer back to the notes, but you do have the notes in Canvas to mess around with, to look at. Okay, so first of all, we've got the session view here, and over here is our browser. I'm going to go ahead and close down the browser here. And these different windows and different views in here, we can see that we can open and close them by clicking here. What is up, Lorenzo? How you doing? We can see that we can open and close them by clicking on these little arrows right here. There we go. So I can open and close it. There's also a shortcut for this. It is Command Option B. If you want to see more about the shortcuts are right here. There's some in here. Command Option B is not in there, but it's a good one to know. Also, if you want to know your shortcuts, if you go up here to the top and you go to View, you can see over here on the right-hand side, there's all these shortcuts in here. So if you want to learn about these different shortcuts and things, you can go ahead and just look in your menu items. Oh, that's okay. Thank you, Lorenzo, for letting me know. So, yeah. No problem, dude. No problem. All right, so here we go. I hope your dog's okay. Accident, you mean your dog peed somewhere, or like I hope it's not a serious accident. I hope it's just your dog peed somewhere. All right. So up here across the top, we have a link button. You don't need to worry about the link button. The link button, what it does essentially is it allows you to link Ableton Live through Wi-Fi with your iPad or your phone or something like that to play in tempo. You could also link it up with Logic, I think, with Pro Tools, I believe, with various other DAWs as well. So, going on the carpets, that's no fun. So you can turn that on if you want. I usually don't use link that much. I only really keep it open. I keep it on so we can see it because I teach Ableton Live. But usually I turn link off here, so where it says link show, link toggle. I usually keep that off because I don't really use link that much. I just keep it on because I teach with Ableton Live, so that's why it's even there. The next one is the tap tempo button. So right now I've got my, sorry, hold on, let's go ahead and stop everything from playing. There we go. I got my metronome here. And if I tap the tempo in, I can change the tempo. And so I can do this, I can hit it, go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the fifth one, it starts playing. So I can tap in my tempo, stuff like that if I want to. There you go. Boom. Then here, I've got my actual tempo here. I can click and drag that up and down. Now what's really cool about this with Ableton Live is the tempos of your clips will change as you play. So when I play, I can grab this and slow it down by clicking and dragging down. And you can hear everything changes in real time. I'm going to go ahead and fix this so it doesn't sound so weird. It sounds a little bit weird right now. That's because I'm in the wrong warp setting here. There we go, warp. My warp setting is all wrong. There we go, let's change, there we go. Cool. Okay, now it sounds much better. All right, so in here, if I change my tempo, I can change my tempo up and down. And I'm hitting the arrow keys on my keyboard right now to change it up and down. I just click on it and hit the arrow keys. And you can hear everything moves in sync with it. And this is one of the best things about Ableton Live is that you can drag in clips from different tempos and they will all work together in real time. And you can change your tempo in real time and it works. It's great for playing on stage. Hence the name Ableton Live, because it was designed for playing live. Go figure. That's a weird name for something that's designed for playing live. Okay, so next up we've got these two things here. These are your nudge buttons. They are completely useless unless you're using Ableton Live in a DJ setup and you need to nudge it back and forth a little bit. I've never actually seen anybody use these, except for like proof of concept demos. I'm sure there are people who are like, I use it all the time. Good for you. I'll send you a cookie. I just made some cookies last night. I'll send you one. But I've never seen anybody actually use it. Then we got our time signature here, 4/4. We could change it to 3/4. We could change it to 2/4. We could change it to whatever. But if you're making commercial music, you're probably going to be just using it in 4/4 most of the time. Here's our metronome. You click it to turn it on and off. We can also click on this arrow thing to change the sound and to change if we want to count in or not, and to change the rhythm. Now, I don't use a count-in myself. I know people do use count-ins. I'm not one of them. Usually I don't use a count-in. I'm going to say 99% of the time I do not use a count-in. So I keep mine set to none. The classic sound is super annoying. Let me go ahead. Whoops, not you. Let me go ahead and stop all the... There we go. There's the original sound, which I am not a huge fan of. I prefer the side stick thing. This one here, I prefer that one there. And then there's also this click sound, which is like an MPC, which also drives me bananas. I hate that. I hate that sound. But here's the wood sound, which I do like a lot. So you can change that right there, and you can turn it on and off by hitting this. It's still playing, but if I have to, turn it on and off. Obviously, your session has to be playing as well for you to hear it. This is my global quantize right here. The global quantize sets for when things are going to play. So if I hit play on this one, right, there we go there. And if I want to start playing my music here, then what I can do is I hit play on it, and it starts playing at the downbeat of the next bar because this is set for 1 bar. And you can see before it starts playing, it actually starts flashing my little green arrow here. So the little launch arrow here starts flashing. Let's set this for 2 bars and watch it flash for 2 bars. So I'm going to hit the stop button here and hit play. Now watch what happens when I hit it. It's going to start flashing for 2 bars, and now it's going to play right now. Right, there we go. If I hit 1 bar, okay, I'm going to stop it. It's going to stop on the downbeat. It's also going to start on the downbeat. So let's go ahead and hit play again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So you can see it starts and stops on the downbeat here. That's because it's set to 1 bar. That's the global quantize, and this works for all sorts of stuff. So for example, if I had a different drum loop over here, let's put my bass line where my drums go, which is kind of weird, but let's do that. If I hit play on this, you can hear the bass actually takes over that drum loop. Go back to the drum loop here. Because you can only have 1 clip playing at the same time, and it's going to start playing on that 1 bar. Okay, this global quantize comes in to so many things. It's very, very important. So we have to keep in mind that it's there. Now, I never really change my global quantize because a long time ago I just got set up with, you know what, 1 bar is the best. Let's just use 1 bar all the time. And so I only really use 1 bar for my global quantize. But you could change it to all sorts of stuff. You can also change each individual clip, but we will come back and talk about that more later. This is my follow mode. If I am in my, if I'm over here and I'm playing stuff, and I'm zoomed way in, let's zoom way, way in. This will follow my clips, but if I stop it, it's going to stop following. But I can turn it back on, it'll follow. So if you like to have it following along with your waves and stuff like that, you can do that. I personally hate it, so I keep it off all the time, but I've seen people like it. They're wrong, but yeah, go ahead and like it if you want. Just know that you're wrong. All right, so here is my counter where I am. This is like basically where my playhead is in the screen. This shows me everything where it goes, all that stuff. So I've got that set up there, and it doesn't. Unfortunately, with Ableton Live, there's not a time window here. There's no time window, which kind of drives me nuts. There's no way to add one in it on like Pro Tools and Logic. You can right click and get more stuff in there, but with Ableton Live you can't do that. It doesn't. Only down here across the bottom does it really show you where things are. So that's very meh for me. I like to have a bigger counter window that shows up. I don't think they've added one in, have they? They have not added a time frame window, which is super annoying. I am not a fan of that. Oh, they did add these windows in. Oh, cool. Okay, interesting. There's some new stuff in this one that's not in some of the older versions, which actually makes life a lot easier because I can use key commands to get some of these screens up, which is really, really nice, actually. All right. Where were we? Oh, the stop, transport, play, stop, record. These are for this arrangement view here, the play, stop, and record buttons, especially this record button, record stuff into the arrangement view. We're going to be talking about all sorts of recording, audio recording, MIDI recording, all that stuff today, or not today, but this week. Then we have the plus button here. The plus button, what does that do? I keep forgetting. I always forget what that does. MIDI arrangement overdub. I never use it. But it's for overdubbing into this MIDI, into the arrangement view here. If you want to, like, if I want to add some keyboard stuff into this keyboard line here, I can go in here. Sorry, I have to hit the plus button for it to actually work. There we go. Now I can record over it, and I can record stuff. There we go. So now I've got this new stuff in there. I'm going to go ahead and quantize it. There we go. Cool. I missed that one up there. Let's go ahead and move that over. Awesome. Okay, so you can hear that stuff that I recorded in. That's what that button does. This button here records your automation. We're not going to go over that right now, but it's your automation in Pro Tools. You know how you had to put tracks into automation, write, touch, latch. This is basically automation touch mode is what it does. It's basically automation, I guess, touch, latch. I think it's probably more like latch mode than touch mode, if you remember what those do. It's also, I'm just going to use this time to say, it's also a good idea to stay on top of your Pro Tools. Don't forget about Pro Tools, kids. Be cool, keep using Pro Tools. Okay, over here, we've got the back to arrangement button here. We've got the automatic, what's it called, Midi capture button here. And this button here is record mode for, in this view here. It's the session overdub button for the session view here. We'll come back to those to talk about this more when we're talking about MIDI. Over here, this is shows us where our loop points are. So if I go in here and I change this, you can see there's a bar moving across the top of my screen. This bar right up here. Take a look at that, and we can see it moving there. If I move it, there it goes right there. I can hit the loop button here, so it loops. And I can adjust how long it's going to go for, like this right here. There we go, boom. Okay, so that's that right there. And so we can also adjust it by hand. If I want to go in here, I want to adjust the front part here like this, or the back part here like this. And if I look up here, it's going to show me now I've got a loop that starts at bar 13 that's 12 bars long. That's what these numbers mean. This is which bar it starts at, and I can move it around. And it's 12 bars long. It's not the start and the end points. It's the start point and how long it is. Ableton Live does everything by loops. You're going to see it's a very loop-oriented program, which is pretty cool most of the time. I think it's cool, but it's a little bit different from Pro Tools. I actually like the way Pro Tools shows your display. It shows you the start point, the end point, and the loop point, or the loop length. So I actually got really used to that one more than the Ableton Live way, which is just start point and loop length. I wish it did have the end point in there for working on stuff in the arrangement view. These buttons here, this is loop, turn your loop on and off. This is your punch in and punch out places. So for example, if you're recording audio and you want to start recording, you want to start playing at a certain point, but you don't want to start recording until bar 17, for example, but I could set my playhead for bar 13, or let's say bar 16, and so I can play, and now it would start recording right here. So if I hit go, it starts recording right here. It doesn't start recording right in the beginning. If I only wanted to record for 2 bars, I can turn these both on, hit the, let's go ahead and go over here, hit the record button, hit play. Now watch what's going to happen. It starts recording right here, and it stops recording right there. Okay, and that's because I had these turned on. So it started recording at bar 17, and it recorded for 2 bars. That's what that stuff does. Okay, I don't use those very much, so let's move on. Over here is my draw mode. We're going to talk about that a lot later on, but we don't need to talk about it right now. But basically, it'll let you draw in MIDI notes and automation curves and stuff like that. Here's my MIDI keyboard. Now what this does is it turns my, sorry, not MIDI keyboard, it's my computer keyboard. It turns this keyboard here into a MIDI keyboard, so I can trigger stuff with this keyboard. So if that's on, I can use it, let me unplug it here, I can use it to play notes. At this point in time, all the DAWs have this feature, so it's not as wacky and special as it used to be. There was a point in time when only Logic and Ableton Live had this feature, but now Pro Tools also has it. Oh, it's not going to charge. Okay. Pro Tools also has it. Other ones have it. So it's not as special as it used to be, but it's still pretty cool. It's good that everybody has it. I'm going to turn it off. This here is my key mapping mode. I can map my computer keyboard to various things on my screen. This enables me to actually set up some cool shortcuts, and I'm going to show you how that works later on. Then we've got our MIDI mapping mode. What this does is it allows me to take any of my knobs and stuff on here and map them to things on my screen. So I can click on this and I can map this to this. So now when I use it, I can make adjustments with it. For some reason it's not doing it. Why are you not doing it? Hold on, let's set this one then. There we go, that one's doing it. So it works like that. So I can map things up here. Again, it's not something I use that much anymore, just because there are different ways to use Ableton Live that are a little bit more modern, I guess we should say. But this does work in a pinch. It's pretty cool, I guess. But it's not something I really use that much anymore. Here's my computer usage. So when I hit play, you're going to see this jump up and down. If you're using a Silicon Mac, the M1, the newer Macs, and you're using the regular version of Ableton Live 11, not the beta version, but if you're using the regular version of Ableton Live 11, you're going to see these numbers jump a lot more. That's because Ableton Live is not, regular version is not optimized for the M1 chips. This version that I'm using here is optimized for the M1 chip. It's what they call running native, which basically it turns Ableton Live in the M1 chip into a powerhouse. It's pretty awesome. It used to be every time I changed something, it would make everything jump. It would do all this weird stuff. So it did work. I was able to use it, but now I can use it and it works like Ableton Live should work. It uses a lot less processor. It's super, super powerful. The only problem is that I think I'm running into is that I can't use Live Beta with an older version of Live 11, the non-beta version. So if I'm working on a project back and forth, I have to think about how to do that. So far I've just been messing around with it and not really working on anything at home seriously. I'm working in the studio on stuff. So that's a problem, but it's going to get solved shortly because they're going to release the beta as a regular version eventually. Over here, we can show what the average is. We can show the current of our CPU meter. We can turn off the CPU meter. I've never actually done that before. That's interesting. I guess if you don't want to have to look at it and worry about it, you can turn it off. We can hear more on CPU overload, audio engine on, all this stuff like this. So we can do all that stuff there. Okay, that's cool, you know, whatever. Over here is some screens and stuff. Here, let me just show you something. If I hit buttons on my controller, it's going to, or if I hit keys on my controller, it's going to show me that I'm hitting keys on my controller right there. If I hit play on this, let's go over to here. If it's sending MIDI out, it will show me a little message right here that it's sending MIDI out. So that's what we can do there. Joshua Johnson, yeah, Joshua, yep, cool. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that, Joshua. Whoops. Yeah, no worries. Thank you for letting me know what's going on. Thank you for showing up here. And this is being recorded, so you can go back and watch the stuff you missed earlier. All right, so that's what's going on here with these. This one shows your MIDI in, this one shows your MIDI out. This shows some other stuff right now. I think it's automation stuff it shows over here. They're just like warning signs. If you're troubleshooting, it's good to see them, but otherwise they don't really do a lot. Sorry, my dog doesn't have her pee pad and she just peed on the floor. But it was a hardwood floor. So, all right. So over here we've got our different views here of which screen we're looking at here, which different view we're looking at. You can hit the tab key to change these as well. So that's the easiest way to do it. Always use your shortcuts. And then down here across the bottom we have different show hide screens, IO, read. This is our returns. This is our mix window view. It shows our mix window, our mixing stuff like levels and stuff like that. And then here is the delay compensation. And you can see I can turn this off, so if I want to see more stuff on my screen, I can actually do that. And then down here, as another one of those arrows, so I can show and hide my info view down here across, not the info view, the detail view. I can show and hide that, and I can also show and hide what I'm actually looking at between these two tabs. Now, this is another shortcut that's really useful. That is Shift Tab to split between those. Now, what I'm looking at here is any kind of plugins that I have on my screen here. So we can see, and this is a little bit different to get used to, because in other DAWs, it shows you your plugins in like a little list on the side. And that doesn't happen in Ableton. Ableton Live does not have a list to show you your plugins. It has down here, it shows you your plugins across the bottom. So I've got this here, this synth going on. Let me go ahead and solo this. Here, just go ahead and loop this part. And I've got just the synth playing right now. And if I wanted to add a filter on top of it, I can just drag a filter down here from the left-hand side. And we'll talk about all this stuff here in just a second. Okay, so there's this. What did I, oh, whoops, hold on. There we go. Okay, okay, boom. So now I can go in here with my filter, and I can grab my filter, and I can change the sound like that. Let's put a little distortion on here. Let's go ahead and use the Redux. It's like a bit reducer. Okay. So I can go ahead and I can click on these, and I can make adjustments here. All right, there we go. Yeah, so you can hear, I can do all sorts of stuff here, just like you can do in any program. This isn't special, it's just how you do it, okay? So, and again, the order, remember we talked about in Pro Tools, the order matters for your effects. That doesn't change with Ableton Live. In the beginning of the video today, I said that there's going to be some things that are the same and some things that are different. All of the stuff we've been learning about in previous lessons about Pro Tools, about audio, the signal flow matters, subgrouping, organization, all that stuff stays the same with Ableton Live. The signal flow matters, subgrouping stuff matters, knowing how effects work, that all matters. It doesn't change at all. So if I go back and forth between Pro Tools and Ableton Live, I can make a really good mix in both programs because I know how those programs work, but also because I know how just audio works. I understand about audio engineering. So whatever DAW you end up using doesn't matter so much as how you use it. That's the important part, is how are your skills as an audio engineer. That's super, super important. Now, it's really good to know how to use different DAWs because the more stuff you know how to use, the more marketable you are in the workforce. If you know how to use Pro Tools, you can get up and you can do, you can go work in any studio. If you knew how to use Ableton Live, some studios really like that. They want to see people working in Ableton Live, and that's really going to help out a lot. So it's good to know all these different DAWs, but don't forget the basics. Audio, signal flow matters, subgrouping matters, organization matters. All these things really, really matter. So it's really important that you keep that in your head at all times. I'm just going to go ahead and click on these to delete them because we're going to come back and talk about that later. But that's your different views. So this one here, I've got my plugins, and over here, if I hit Shift Tab, that shows me my different MIDI. It shows me the clip, what's inside the clip here. In this case, it's an audio loop. In this case, it's a MIDI loop. We'll come back and talk more about this detail view down here, but what I also want to show you is over here on the left is the info view. Now, I have my info view off because I know how to use Ableton Live. I use Ableton Live all the time, every day, so I'm pretty good at it. I gotta say, not to be not to, be a little bit humble here. I've been using Ableton Live since 2001, so I think I know what I'm doing. So I don't really use the info view too much. Every now and then I'll come into something where I'm like, I forget what that's called, and only because I teach it, I have to know what it's called. So I'll turn on the info view to kind of just see. But for you, this info view is gonna be amazing. If you have used Logic and if you know the Logic info view, it's the same thing as the Ableton Live info view, because Logic stole the idea from Ableton Live because it's such a good idea that it needs to be there. So what happens is that when you mouse over anything on your screen, this tells you about that thing that you've moused over. So it's basically a built-in manual. So if you were wondering, what does this do? What does this do? Just open up your info view here and check out what it does. Just read about it. Okay? Most of this stuff has an analog, has a similar thing to Pro Tools. It's got the same thing in Pro Tools. So if you know how to use something, if you know how to do something in Pro Tools and you see it in here, you'll be like, oh, okay, cool. I understand what that means because I've already used it in Pro Tools. Like, for example, if I mouse over this right here, it says it's a send. So I can go, if I have my send, the info view on Logic is super, super helpful. Same thing. So if you're used to it in Logic, please don't forget that it's here in Ableton Live. That's really going to be helpful over here as well. So there you go. I'm going to turn it off though because I don't need it. All right, and then up here is this is our groove window. This is for like quantizing stuff to a groove. If you want to have it be like a little swung groove or something like that, that's a little bit hard to understand at first, so we're not going to talk about it much, but that's what that button does. It opens up your groove pool. And then finally here we've got our browser, and the browser is where all your stuff is for Ableton Live. So over here we've got, let's go ahead and, we got a collection stuff. This is basically your favorites. Let's go down here to categories first though. This shows you where all your plugins and things are. All of your plugins. If you want to grab a plugin, you grab it from down here. I don't think, yeah, you can't right click down here and open up plugins, which some programs have that. I didn't know if that was something they had added in or not. But if I want to go down and add in a plugin, so for example, I've got different categories of my plugins. So these are sounds, these are drums, these are instruments, these are audio effects, and these are all the ones that come with Ableton Live. They also have Midi Effects, which are pretty cool. Oh, there's way more than 2 sends in Ableton Live. There's like 15 max, but you just have to add an extra send in. I'll show that in just a second. Midi Effects, great question though, by the way. I love that question. It's a really good question, and the answer is yes, there are more than 2 sends in Ableton Live. There's, I think, up to 15 or something like that, so plenty of sends to go around. Then we've got Max for Live, which is something that is in the Live Suite. You do not have it in Live Standard. So if you are using Live on your computer at home, in the demo view, you do have Live Suite. But if you're using Live at school, you have the standard version of Live. Standard version of Live is fine. The main thing it doesn't have is Max for Live. But we will talk a little bit about Max for Live. Then you've got your third-party plugins here. Now, if your third-party plugins are not showing up in Ableton Live, don't sweat it. I'm going to show you how to show those a little bit later. Okay, we're going to talk about all the preferences and stuff today at the end of the video. Then we've got clips, which is where you can put different clips you're using. Honestly, I don't use this. I keep things more organized than this. Is there a way to not? Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I guess you can not show it now. I don't use clips. I don't use samples actually at all. I don't ever use, like I literally never use those, so I could turn it off and not show those. But because I teach this stuff, I need to keep that open so y'all can see it here. But usually I don't use the clips, and the samples is where all the samples in Live are, they live. Again, I don't really use these either. I just don't use them. I do it a different way, which I'm going to explain to you how to do it. Then we got grooves. Grooves are awesome. I do use the grooves a lot. They used to have this set up a little bit differently, which I liked, but now they've got it all in one window, which I like less, but whatever, it's fine. Then we've got here templates, which is pretty cool for different templates if you want to start doing different stuff like that. I've got one for my DJ mixes and stuff like that I do on Ableton Live, so you've got those there. Down here, we've got places. Now the places are basically folders on your hard drive. This is for keeping stuff really organized. This is great, these places here. Really, really useful. I highly recommend that you organize stuff into here and keep this really, really organized. As you know, I'm a big believer in organization and your organization skills. So, keep this organized as much as possible. And we are going to show you how to keep that organized. But different packs that you can download for Ableton Live are over here on the left. Here's the live user library, which I do use it. I don't really use it that much. I use it and I kind of move things out of it into a different place, which I'm going to show you here in a second. Then you've got your current project, which is great. My current project is Untitled because I haven't saved it yet, so I would save it. Hit Command S to save, and let's go here to my teaching, and we'll go to Ableton Live, teaching projects, and we'll just go to 2111, getting started. There we go. Yes, Ableton Live totally allows the use of third-party plugins, but it's not turned on by default. I'm gonna show you how to turn that on in a little bit. But this current project here on the left-hand side, this shows me my current project. So if I wanted to, basically when I'm recording audio or something, there's going to be a folder in here that pops up, and I can keep stuff organized into this folder. If you drag and drop stuff over from here, you can drag it into here, and now it will show up in here. So this is a good way to keep stuff organized by my current project. If I have ideas that I want to use for later, I can keep them in here, no problem. I can also go in here and access any kind of stuff that I've recorded. So for example, if I make an audio file here, and let's just make sure everything's set up. It is not set up, so we're going to go to external microphone. There we go. Let's go ahead and just check that out. Input is going to be external in, microphone in. There we go. Check 1, 2, check, check, check. Okay, so I go over here to the beginning of things. I'm going to hit the record button. Check. Hey, this is me recording. Yeah. Bass. What's up? All right, cool. So I've got that there. Let me go ahead and play that back. Check. Hey, this is me recording. Yeah. Awesome, cool. So that should have actually shown me, let's see here. Oh, there we go. Okay, it just took a second to pop up. So over here now I've got the samples folder. The samples folder has my recorded file in it, and there it is right there. Check. I don't know what this one is. What are you? Oh, you're nothing. Okay. So I've got this one here. Boom. There's that. Okay. So now I got this one here, and I can just drag it from over here. It's not named really well because it's just audio. But if I go over here and I rename it, I can call this one vocal check. Boom. There we go. So now I can grab that and drag it in like that. Yep. And it's got that name. It's not the same thing. It's more like it's kind of similar to the clip view in Pro Tools, but it's not showing you clips. It's showing you the actual audio file. It's a total hit record. Yeah, thanks, Josh. I appreciate you, man. It's just showing you basically what you've recorded audio-wise. So you're not losing audio stuff that you've recorded. That's all right here. And I'm going to show you how to keep stuff organized, and work on that a little bit later. We're not going to get too deep into it, but that's what your current project is. Then over here, and it's similar to Pro Tools in that if you delete stuff out of here, it's not deleted for good. But it's more, it's kind of a mix of Pro Tools and Logic a little bit, I guess, because it's kind of, even though Logic does show you your clips, I wish it did show you your clips and stuff. It doesn't do that, which is kind of annoying. If you want to keep your clips, you can copy and paste them into your clip view over here in your into your session view. So you could do that. There is a way to do it. It's a little bit heavy-handed. I'm not a huge fan of it, but that's the way it works. But you do have all your recordings and stuff over here. So we've got that. Down here, Ableton Plugins. This is where I keep my my presets and my favorites, my super favorites, my ones that I make myself that I want to be able to take to other people's Ableton Live sessions and stuff like that. Sorry, the dogs are going crazy right now. I have my friend's dog here, so it's a dog echo chamber. One of them starts barking, the other one starts barking, and then the other one keeps barking, and the other one starts barking again. So it's a crazy echo chamber. Over here on the left-hand side, I've got a folder that says Ableton Ideas. This is where I keep different ideas for things. If I'm making a song and I have an idea for something, but it doesn't fit that song, I'll just drag it over here, and I can play it over here, which is pretty darn cool. Then there's a whole bunch of other folders in here that are like basically shortcuts to folders on my computer for samples and stuff. I got my Vengeance samples, Samplephonic samples, Sample Magic samples, hip hop samples, all these things. I've got all these different ones over here. So it's pretty cool, but again, we're going to kind of come back and talk about that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a break. We're going to take a break for 10 minutes, and we're going to come back and we're going to continue talking about Ableton Live after the break. Let me go ahead and stop this recording.